Last time we discussed about biases and heuristics, what those concepts are based on this book, Thinking Fast and Slow. You know about the system one and system two. It talks about fast brain or fast mind, fast decision making, and slow and kind of a more evaluated and conscious decision making. So now we'll today discuss about the prospect theory. Now, what the author says, the prospect theory is a behavioral economic theory. Okay, and the theory describes how people evaluate potential gains and losses and make decisions involving risk and uncertainty. Okay, so that means the decisions that they take is based on kind of a negative side of things rather than looking at the positive. So involving risk and uncertainty. So this prospect theory talks about it provides a nuanced understanding of decision making than traditional economic theories that assume people always act in their rational self interest. So the prospect theory, so what is what does that mean, or what does it stand for? So he explains that there are a few concepts of the prospect theory what he has coined, along with another gentleman called Amos Tversky. Okay, so they have co-authored kind of this concept, a value function. So that's one aspect of the prospect theory. He says that uh, people do not evaluate potential outcomes based on their absolute value, but rather on changes from a reference point, usually the current situation. Okay, this reference point is known as the status quo. Okay, so potential outcome based on their absolute value rather than on the changes from a reference point. Okay, so that is called that's why they call about the value function. Okay, reference point is talking about the current status quo. The second thing he talks about on the concept of prospect theory, he says that diminishing sensitivity as opposed to gains and losses. In this theory suggests that individuals are more sensitive to losses than gains. The pain of a loss is felt more strongly than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. So what does that mean? So just take the case of an example, take the example of, let's say you have invested in stocks or shares. So let's say equal amount of investment if you have done, let's say $5,000 in one stock and $5,000 in another stock. And if $5,000 what you invest in a stock which reduces the value of the stock market, or not the stock market as well, but that price of that share, if that reduces by 30%, you will feel the pain more than if equivalent, as the other stocks or shares, it increases the value by 30%. So the joy what you get out of the gain will be lesser than the pain, amount of pain what you endure when the loss happens. Now the third thing he talks about is the loss aversion. So now this theory explains that loss aversion has the tendency for people to prefer avoiding losses over acquiring gains of the same magnitude, as we discussed earlier. Okay, so the lot of actions you take as just to make sure that you avoid the losses. Losses have a greater psychological impact than gains of the same size. Okay, causing individuals to be risk averse when faced with potential losses. Risk behavior. When outcomes are framed as gains, people tend to be risk averse. preferring certain gains over uncertain gains. Okay. Now, however, when outcomes are framed as losses, individuals become risk seeking, preferring uncertain losses over certain losses. Okay, now that is another important aspect. So that means this is our cognitive behavior, or how our human psychology works. Okay, so the individuals are they risk seeking, preferring uncertain losses. Okay, that means it's kind of a gambling, uncertain, but definitely if you want to lose, if you know that somewhere you want to lose, what the author says, that if people go for uncertain losses than the certain losses. Okay, because they still think that there may be a gain. Okay, framing effect. The framing of a decision can significantly influence how people make choices. The same situation presented with different phrasing or emphasis can lead to different decisions due to emotional impact of framing. Okay. Now, the next one concept on the prospect theory is endowment effect. People tend to place a higher value on things they own simply because they own them. The emotional attachment to possessions can influence decision making and transactions. Now, I would suggest you look at this. For example, talk to anyone in your friend circle, in your family members, about, let's say, I read somewhere, in fact, this is relating to this concept, that people tend to justify, okay, and they see that or they want to justify their decisions, um, and make sure, and they want to convey to others that what the decision what they have taken is the right decision. For example, if you talk to your friends and family members anywhere, about, let's take for an example, a decision was they have made to buy, let's say, a house in a specific area, locality. Now they always, when you talk to them, all of your friends, they will justify that why that was the sorry, that was the right kind of a place where they bought the property. Okay, that means probably good connectivity, or there's a potential of growth in that area. But somehow you will find that all of your friends and family members, they will be talking good about that place. I'm not talking that they should be talking bad about their place or where they live, but what I'm saying, trying to say, is the just to understand the human psychology. Whenever we are taking a decision, we have taken a decision, whatever is ours, so we tend to justify in a way in our mind that that is the right thing or right decision. Okay, again, that is how our brain works. So that means everywhere, that and the same concept works in all over, let's say in a city, wherever your friends and families are, so they will be justifying, wherever they live is the right place. Okay. Similarly, a profession as well, sometimes you feel like, you justify why the profession is the best profession as well. Okay, no, I'm not talking you down as well, but the concept of the prospect theory, one of the aspects is you justify. Okay, because you own them or you have them. Okay, so the prospect theory challenges the classical economic assumption of rational decision making based on solely maximizing utility. Instead, it acknowledges psychological and emotional factors that play a crucial role in shaping how individuals perceive and respond to different options, especially in situations involving risk and uncertainty. All right. So we conclude here with this short sort of a synopsis of the prospect theory of this book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Now, this book is all about, like understanding how our behavioral patterns, understanding our cognitive behaviors. So that's what it's all about. So with that, we conclude here and hope to speak to you soon then, guys.